Friends, Romans, countrymen, lend me your dice. I come not to praise Wizards of the Coast, but to bury them. Happy Sunday, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, and the beginning of the holiday madness rush with Thanksgiving this Thursday, Black Friday this Friday. We probably won't be able to get to talk to each other as much this week as we normally do. So even though I use normally twice in a sentence, take a drink every time I say normally. Even though I don't normally post on Sundays, I'm making an exception because I wanted to respond to yesterday. And also, I don't know how much time I'm going to have to talk to you guys with the rest of the week because of the holidays. So as you know, yesterday I dived in to the compiled collection of changes to the wording Wizards of the Coast product line starting in 2024 and going forward, and how Wizards of the Coast and their benevolent dictatorship of telling us how we need to think actually made the situation and the words worse in my usual snarky overacting manner. And I received a lot of responses. This may go to be my biggest video of the month, if not the year. We'll see how the rest of the week goes. I can't respond to each and every one of you because I'm basically going to say the same thing to everything you guys have said. So instead of just doing that and then missing someone and that person going, well, you didn't respond to me, I'm just doing a general overall arcing response to all of your comments from yesterday's videos and all of your comments going forward. So if I miss you, here you go. Thanks for your comments. Always, of course, first and whatever. I mean, I appreciate each and every one of you for taking time out of your day to listening to my little, well, I can't call them rants or insanity anymore. So listening to my unpopular and chaotic responses to the Wizards of the Coast situation. So first and foremost, at the end of the day, Dungeons & Dragons is owned by Hasbro, and Hasbro can do whatever the fuck they want with Dungeons & Dragons. And if this is what they want to do with the product line they own, there's really nothing we can do to stop them. We can just complain and we can vote with our wallets. The best thing to do, of course, is to vote with your wallet. Just don't spend any money on any Hasbro product and make them well aware why you're not spending money on the product. And the second is to give them as little free press as possible. Obviously, I can't do that because that's literally what this channel is based upon. But for other people, it's more productive to not talk about them. Because every time you talk about them, the algorithm just triggers that you're talking about them. It doesn't trigger what you're talking about. It just goes at so-and-so and so-and-so, the word Hasbro is mentioned so many times. And Hasbro just sees these numbers and goes, people are talking about us. We must be doing good. So the other best way, is vote for your wallet and don't respond at all. First, but now, relax and view break. Dun 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 dun. Dun 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 dun. Plus 5 experience points if you know what song that is. Okay, so all the responses I got from you guys, with one exception, was pretty much the same. So far, I have not had anybody tell me they think this is a good idea. Still early in the week, so we know there's going to be possibly at least 3 people, if not more, who think this is a good idea. Everybody else has responded negatively. Everybody else has responded with pretty much the same, F you, wizard, you don't know what you're talking about. You made the situation worse. Do you even know what these words mean? So my general response to all of you is, well, I just had it up on the screen, and now I can't find it because I'm dumb. I can't say I'm dumb anymore because that's insulting. I just don't like to learn. I'm lazy. Where'd it go? Oh, here it is. Sorry. I had it up and then it just went away. Once again, Wizards of the Coast should have left well enough alone and not try and fix anything that's broken. In fact, I would go further to say that since they have hired a press secretary / media manager and is paying that individual a rather large sum of money per year it would be in Wizards of the Coast's best interest to start having that person do their job. There needs to be somebody whose job it is to not be loyal to Wizards of the Coast, to not be loyal to Hasbro, but be loyal to money and be loyal to the interweb, and to tell these people before they print these things, are you sure you want to say this way, knowing full well that most of the responses are going to be negative? Perhaps there's a different way we could do this. If this had happened with Kyle Brink, if this would happen with Mackenzie, if this would happen with everything that Wizards of the Coast has said over the past 10 years, then that probably would have, done some damage control. Is there any way Wizards of the Coast can back out of this? Well, let's assume that Wizards of the Coast is going to pay a few people to say nice things about it, because they already have. The Alpha Streams one was very positive. The Ian World one was very positive. I'm sure, all the other D&D shills will come on and say, I'm going to say nice things about this because Wizards of the Coast is paying me to. And the rest of the tabletop role-playing game market, like myself and 90% of the rest of you, will go, this is dumb. With the conclusion being that in regards to the general population, Wizards of the Coast employees should not be allowed anywhere near a microphone or the internet. It's not just that they, no matter if what they do, even if in some weird alternate universe, these are actually meant with good intention, which is always, one of the theories I have postulated, that, maybe when this idea started, it sounded good on paper, but somehow between the time it was, workshopped and the time we actually saw it in print, it passed through this dimensional layer of stupid. So yeah, there's that. Almost every other choice that Wizards of the Coast made in the wording choices was worse than the original words. And my friend Daniel from Drivings and Dragons gives some much better examples of, how they went, well, nobody's insane anymore. They're just either chaotic or vile. Except vile is a much more worse word than insane, because insane denotates no control for their actions. They're doing things because their perception of reality and how they react with reality is so alien to ours that we can only perceive it as insane. Hannibal Lecter logically quantifies all his choices, no matter how disgusting they are, as they fit the psychology of his madness. But as he's portrayed by Anthony Perkins, he is a fully rational, intelligent, engaging, and charismatic individual who just happens to be an evil motherfucking cannibal. He is insane. Vile means you're just inherently evil and disgusting, and there's just no way to fix you. And chaotic means, well, you're not making a choice. You're just doing whatever the wind says. You're just being chaotic. You're being Bugs Bunny. You're just reacting. You're just going out to set the world on fire. Changing the insane wizard to the vile wizard, therefore, makes the wizard inherently evil, which is all. And if the whole point was that nobody is inherently evil or inherently good, that's probably not the best word choice. And Daniel over at Drunkens and Drivings or Dungeons and Drivings gives some more advice on the word changes. He's much smarter than I am. I posted a link down below to his video, so give him a listen when you're done with me. Help him hit 1,000 subs before the end of the year. Wizards of the Coast is saying they don't think we're adult enough to make up our own minds about how we should talk and speak at the table and how we should treat others. They are assuming the role of benevolent dictator. We are telling you how to think. We are telling you how to talk. We are telling you how we're going to phrase things in the game going forward, without actually realizing that choices they're making makes the words worse. Almost every example except for one or two that they give, these are actually worse. If you actually look up the denotation of the word and use the word in modern day and then also in reflection to history, you can see that it's actually worse. And then I gave the example about indigenous species, Native Americans coming in, and was it better to say that they settled the land or civilized the land? Because I'm sure if you ask them, they're going to be like, yeah, no, nothing you did to us was civilized, but we greatly appreciate the fact that you came in and settled our land and took us, well, you don't call us barbarians anymore, our uninitiated folk, and brought them over to your, well, you don't call it civilized anymore, so you, I guess, friendly and enlightened worldview, right? We're so grateful. Yeah, I don't see any indigenous Native American tribal, we can't call them tribe anymore, saying that, being told they were, instead of saying civilization came and civilized you, we came and settled. It's not civilized, it's settled. That's not better. And consistently, from every point of view, the words they chose were not better. And it is not your responsibility to tell us how to think or feel. You could post a single editorial and say, this is what we practice at Wizards of the Coast Hasbro, but you don't have to. And that would have been much better. Yeah, mine was probably too long. Anyway, I can use how, when Roe versus Wade thing happened and the civil, the Supreme Court made their decision, there was almost every company, was either, we are so against, there was the companies that were vehemently against the choice and vehemently for the choice. And then Hasbro said absolutely nothing. And this is one of the few good choices they made in regards to lately in regards to media. I would assume no. We would have to describe we would have to change the names. Murdering and genocidal are no longer appropriate. So we would be, the Nazis weren't evil genocidal maniacs. They were just misunderstood. They just had a bad day. As a Jew, I totally appreciate that Wizards of the Coast has changed that thinking too. Okay, so again, back to the example of how Wizards of the Coast did something once right and how they haven't done anything since. So whoever decision it was during the Roe versus Wade thing, what was that, last year, the year before, needs to get back to doing what they're doing. Because if you remember, Hasbro said nothing. And when their employees rose up and got all angry, Hasbro said nothing. And when their employees said, well, we're going to do a walkout because you're not saying anything about Roe versus Wade, Hasbro said nothing. And because Hasbro's not saying anything was not that they were supporting it or not. It was, look, you knew what our opinion on legalized, Roe versus Wade was on Wednesday. Our opinion is not going to change on Friday. It's our opinion, our rules, our recommendations are up on the wall in the break room. Those haven't changed. So whatever we believed before Thursday when they changed it is the exact same thing we believe afterwards, and we don't need to advertise. That was brilliant because they didn't get themselves involved with any of the nonsense and chaos and anger that came out of that. Now, I'm, obviously, personally, I was against the choice, but I'm looking at this from a corporate point of view, not my own point of view. So that's not what this is. So don't think I'm like supporting the abomination of getting rid of Roe versus Wade. I'm not, but that's not the point. So this is again, they should have just done the exact same thing. Wizards of the Coast says we want to change things. Hasbro should not be even either saying, yes, that's a good thing, or no, that's a bad thing. They should just not say anything. They should not in any way support Wizards of the Coast choices, but they also shouldn't be denouncing Wizards of the Coast choices. They should remain impartial because at the end of the day, Dungeons & Dragons' job is to make Hasbro money. And if Wizards of the Coast is allowed to continue to talk the way they talk about the product lines, that's money that's coming out of Hasbro's pocket. So this is only gonna backfire because with every single post, you see less and less people going, well, then I'm not buying 2024 D&D. And then you have, and closing, then you have Crawford come out and basically say in his weird Crawford double talk, well, again, technically you don't need to buy 2024 D&D because nothing's really changed. Of course, he then goes on to say, well, actually, yeah, you do, because it's so drastically changed that it is no longer compatible. But that's a topic for a different video. So anyways, I knew that a lot of you had sent responses. Look, I'm still getting responses, and I can't respond to each and every one of you. And I don't want you to think that I'm ignoring you by not responding to you. So this is where it is. This is what my feelings are, and my response to each and every one of you would have been the same. This is a horrible choice. They made what they perceive as a bad situation worse. And the words that they chose were completely wrong to accomplish what we're trying to accomplish. And it's not their job to tell us how to think. They should just release the product line that people want to see with the rules to create characters and play a game of Dungeons and Dragons. And if they need to feel like they have to do things like this, these are things that could be done as editorials on their website instead of changing the game. The game, doesn't need to be changed because 99% of the people are going to ignore that anyways. So this was unnecessary. It brings more bad press, and I can't respond to all of it. So I'm just going to say, here's my response. Yeah, again, if Wizards of the Coast is listening, the same advice I've been giving Wizards of the Coast all year: stop, go outside, have your media manager do their job, because all you're doing is adding wood to a fire that you started in January, but it's been going on for a while. So yeah. Thank you to each and every one of you who responded to yesterday and who is responding today. I'm going to go back to playing with my cat, but I just felt I needed to thank each and every one of you and give a general overall response to all your comments, which I appreciate. Have a great day. Stay healthy. Stay safe. Happy holiday shopping. And I will talk to you all later.